Live Show with alx.O. Oh man, we're getting back into a new season of the podcast, and in this one, I'm actually revamping the show. Before, originally, I had it audio, where I would go out and I'd interview guests for the show, but due to the pandemic, things have become very complicated. And to just avoid exposing people to any danger and exposing myself, me and my team, my beautiful girlfriend is my team. We were trying to figure out different ways of how to do it while still being safe, and we decided that one of the best ways to do it would be to go on live. So here we are. This is the new Verbatim Live Show, hosted by me, alx.O. Let's see who's on there. Hey, what's up, Eric? Let me just wave to you. Hey, Jen. Hey, what's up, Jen? Welcome to the new Verbatim Live Show. And yeah, this is a show where urban culture gets to have a real conversation about the culture and be themselves why they do it. And you get to hear the conversation here, verbatim. This is the Verbatim Live Show, and I am your host, alx.O. All right, and today's episode is called The Gift of Reinvention. And the reason why I called it The Gift of Reinvention is because I believe in the past couple months, due to the pandemic, the whole world's been under a phase of reinvention. Everything that we once recognized to be normal is no longer the norm. You know what I mean? A lot of things have changed, for better, for worse, and we've been forced as a world to adapt and change. And so we've all been going through this sense of reinvention, And I'm just going through my show notes here. And in that spirit of reinvention, I wanted to first pay homage to the original show, the Verbatim podcast. Without that particular show, I wouldn't be able to be here to do this one. And, many don't know, but when I first started that one, I was fucking scared. I was so fucking nervous to do it. And I had been brainstorming the podcast for about 5 years. In fact, in one of the episodes that I did with Gift of Reinvention I, I even tell the story of how I started the show. That I brainstormed the show while doing an interview with him. Excuse me, I forgot to mic myself up. Jesus. See, we're still working out the kinks here. But as I was saying, I told a story with Gift of Reinvention on one of the episodes, where because of him, I was inspired to even think about doing an interview show. But still, even then, it took like 5 years for that to digest, for it to turn into what eventually was the Verbatim podcast. And, and that was a wonderful journey. I got to see really what my, what my acumen was for it. And, in the first episode of that podcast, it was called I Hope This Doesn't Suck. And the reason why I called it that was because I was just really scared of being judged. And I thought to myself, how do I defuse or depressurize that conversation so that it's easy for me, or easier for me, to just do the show and not think about what people are going to say. So I decided, why not just be honest and be upright, up straight, with that I'm not new. I'm sorry, that I'm not a professional, that I'm learning how to do it, and that I'm gonna get better with time. And I hope it doesn't suck, but if it does suck, bear with me. I will get better and I will learn. And the beautiful thing with that episode was it pushed me to take that leap. And to my surprise, I got a lot of positive feedback. And that positive feedback gave me the momentum in order to do the second episode, which I did with one of my longtime friends and mentor. His name is Joe Proscia, and he started his own company, Proactive. It's a hiking company. Well, more like an adventure company, which one of his activities right now is predominantly hiking. And he grew up in urban culture with me, and I thought, why not introduce urban culture, or at least expose the rest of the world to the idea that urban culture likes outdoor activities. And it was one of those things where, like, I realized that I don't think many people actually considered that. Urban culture a lot of times gets put into this box of just being like street shit. And although, let's be real, there's street shit in urban culture, it's just not the whole thing. There's such a plethora of diversity of things in urban culture. And I realized in that particular episode that that's what my job is, hosting the show. I want to show the world how diverse urban culture actually is. You know what I mean? That there is street shit, but there is also outdoorsy shit, artsy stuff, intellectuals. There's innovation, so much diversity, and that was really the episode that helped me drive that home into myself. And then the second episode, well, actually would be the third episode, I did with my long-standing friend Juan Tejada, and we talked about money. And the money talk episode was a fascinating one for me because not only did we talk about mortgages and we talked about how, to build your credit and stuff like that, but the comments I got afterwards, after we put it out, was really fascinating to me because what I learned from that episode was that there were a lot of people that wanted that information, but were really, I would say, I don't want to say timid, but kind of avoidant of asking because they didn't want to feel like dumb. And it made me realize that there was kind of like a connotation of some kind of inferiority if you were to ask those kinds of questions. And I realized that some people may feel that way. But it made me think about my thought process when I did the episode. And I remember telling Juan, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I want to talk about money in a way that everyday Joe could understand it. It doesn't have to be super complicated. We can do our best to communicate as simply as possible so that the masses can understand. And, I wouldn't say to my surprise, but I guess having that in mind, I hit it right on the head because when I started getting the comments, I started getting a lot of thank yous. And then that educated me on another purpose for the show. It's not just to show the world that urban culture is diverse, but it's also to help evolve urban culture, help the people within my own community. And that gave me a sense of pride in the show itself. It made me feel like, okay, I'm here to do something more than just talk shit on social media. It's more than just having a good time, but it's also a deeper purpose. And I believe one of my friends actually, they got this stuff together and they bought a house within a couple of months of hearing the episode. And like, holy shit, I had no idea that a simple show could do or have an effect like that. And I thought that was fucking awesome, And then the episode after that was probably one of the most polarizing ones because that was with my friend Kibo Hidi of the 7 Tribes. And that one was called The Power of Living in Your Purpose. And it was polarizing because Kibo Hidi is definitely one of a kind. I think he's a person that is definitely destined to be something great, and definitely he's one of the leaders of the community. I mean, hate him or love him, he's done single-handedly. He's done so much for his local community, and he truly believes everything that that he says, about group economics, helping each other out, good health, and how like in urban culture the nutrition is horrible because the bodegas in every corner, but there's nothing but sugar and toxins. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a vegan, it's hard to eat. You know, but also his entrepreneurial spirit is definitely inspiring. He's one of the few artists, and one of the few artists that has really encapsulated the idea of get it on your own and own everything. He's really big proponent for ownership, and what he's been able to do with the 7 tribes in general is amazing. Most people in the community, most artists in the community wish they could live off their art. He actually does it, and in that regard, I think that's one of the coolest things. I'll be transparent. I mean, even when I was trying to be a rapper, I didn't succeed at that. He's done what most people couldn't, and most people don't think to this day that he can. Yet he does it every single day, and so definitely a testament to you can do whatever you want to do so long as you're committed to it, and really push hard for the things that you want. Which then led me to the following episode, which was with my mentor, Wilkes Ideology. What was that? P, I still got bars? I may have bars. They're just staying at home. They don't expect no alx.O album anytime soon. And then the follow-up episode from that one was the one with my mentor, Wilkes Ideology. And that one was the importance of mentorship. And I gotta say, that was probably one of my most fascinating interviews because I really felt like I got into my Oprah mode. And I maybe because he's been in the game for such a long time, and he's fully aware of his impact on the community, and he was just so well versed and prepared to speak. It was such a fluid conversation and very impactful, and there was so many moments in that episode where I got to share stories of when I studied under him, and really, just showcase to the world like what an impact that man had on my life. And it felt like a real full circle opportunity for me, because going in I met him when I was 17, and then years later as an adult on my own platform, I'm interviewing him, talking about how he's impacted my life, and then talking about how he's still impacting the lives of other younger generations. It was a complete full circle moment for me. And then there was one moment in that episode that stood out to me when he told a story about how, like, in a matter of seconds, his life could have changed drastically. A matter of just like chilling on the block 1 second too long and he could have been in jail. But instead he was home and he avoided a whole fucking mess. And, we were talking about like how slippery the slope is sometimes in urban culture, how like you can be doing things right, living on the good side of things, and still get caught up in some bullshit just because you're around bullshit. And how it's difficult for young kids who don't know how to navigate through that to really make the right decisions. And then I think that's why that episode was so important to me, because that one really cemented in my mind that all of us in some way or form can be mentors. If we know something, we can share something. And like Wilkes would say, each one teach one. And that was a powerful one for me, And then the episode that followed that one was probably one of the more controversial ones I did. That one was on vaccine injury. That was when was with my friend Erica Del Campo, who goes by the handle Mama Went Natural, and uh, that one was an interesting one because with that one, she invited me to go see one of the a brand new screening of the Vax documentary. I think it was the second one, and so she primed me up first with education, and then we had the discussion. And I gotta admit, it was very eye opening. There were several moments in that documentary that I was left just with my jaw open, you know, with certain pieces of information that, you know, you may have your opinions on, you know, vaccines and vaccine injuries, but there's certain aspects of it that does seem a little suspicious, and I don't understand why it exists. Like, for example, that night I learned that pharmaceutical companies are indemnified from lawsuits. So if their vaccine hurts you, you can't sue them. So, you know, whatever you feel about vaccines, that's one thing. But we can't argue that not being able to hold them liable seems like a problem, at least to me, right? And but ultimately, with that episode, my goal wasn't just to talk about the vaccines. My goal was to really dig deeper and to try to identify what was the deeper meaning, the deeper sentiment behind those movements for, against, well, I guess it would be against the vaccines. And what I learned from that was the media was very divisive in creating this idea of anti-vax and pro-vax, right? Really, what I discovered was the movement was really filled with what I was told are called ex-vaxxers. And what ex-vaxxers are people who did vaccinate, but then their children were harmed by the vaccinations, which my friend Erica, the guest on that episode, her son, I believe it was her second son, suffered a vaccine injury. And, you know, when you're a mother and your child was hurt because of one of your decisions, it tends to do something to you. And I think at the core, that's what that movement is about. It's about the hurt that those mothers feel from, you know, the things that happen to their children. And ultimately, that episode was about what I believed it was about, a mother's love. And that's why I called it A Mother's Love. Actually, the name of that episode is A Mother's Love, The Crusade Against Vaccine Injury, which is pretty much what they're on. They're on a crusade because they're trying to help prevent future children from being hurt in the same way that their children was hurt. Their children had been hurt in the past, you know? And I thought that was pretty honorable, to say the least, right? And then, well, after that, I had my favorite episode, my Demon TV episode about unity. And that was a unique experience for me because I was invited to do the Demon TV show first. And I met Nitty and I met Ray Dot. And in doing their show, what I discovered was it's definitely different being the one getting interviewed versus me doing the interviewing. But then also that urban culture is in a state of evolution, man. They were on the same pulse that I was on, but they were doing it in such a different way that it felt very fresh. It felt very cool to be a part of that conversation and be considered an equal or contemporary. To me, it felt like, I guess, what it must have felt like to be a part of the Harlem Renaissance, just one of the ones in the mix making shit happen, and I think that's just so cool. Let's see here. And then that's also why I think the show got to continue. That's why, even though the pandemic created some issues for us, we had to figure out a new way how to keep it going. And that's why we came up with the Verbatim Live Show. So now what we're going to do with the show is we're able to go live, have the same kind of conversations, and I get to invite guests onto the show live. And that will be going on every other Thursday at 7. And then you'll be able to catch the replay on Monday on YouTube and on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts. Yeah, so that way the content's always moving. So, hold on a second here. Yeah. And, yeah, we keep the show going, man. I'm really looking forward to the new conversations that we're going to have for the next year. I've just recently mapped out the next 6 months of the show, and it seems pretty impactful. The next episode, I'm going to be interviewing my brother, who has his own brand called Fisticuffs. And his brand is about, motorcycle culture mixed with men's fashion and body positivity and nutrition and fitness. And like I said, it's my brother. He grew up in urban culture with me, and so that's a pretty cool episode, and I can't wait to have that because he has a lot of great shit to share, And I think, moving forward from that, it's going to be a fun ride. And, we're going to have some bumps in the road, naturally, just like with the other show. But we're going to progressively try to get better with each episode, No one's perfect. And, in the words of Steve Harvey, the parachute isn't always going to open, but you got to jump. If you don't jump, one thing's for sure, it won't open. And, this for me is an exercise of bravery. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, I hope you do, but if you don't, I'll remind you now. And at the start of 2020, I entered it with the mantra of 2020 like my last. And the reason I started with that mantra was because I had been reading this book by Brene Brown called Daring Greatly. And in that book, it talks about the arena of life and how those who are actually living their lives are the ones that are brave enough to step into the arena and face life. But then there's people who are at the gate. They're afraid to get in, but they know that they can't necessarily be on the bleachers, So I think for a lot of my life before 2020, I was one of the ones at the gate. Like, I had the knowledge, I had the insight, but I was too afraid to get in. And then 2020, after reading that book, really was my year to jump into the arena and accept that sometimes you're going to get punched. Sometimes you're going to get kicked in the face, kicked in the stomach, beat up. But you got to get back up because that's just what it is to be in the arena. You know what I mean? But you also got to throw punches. You got to face life. You got to go in there and you got to try the best you can, because only when you do that, when you practice being brave enough to do that, do you get to really, really enjoy life. And she also makes a note on those who are actually sitting on the bleachers. You know what I mean? Because those on the bleachers, they always have the most opinions, right? But of course, they got the best view. They're watching people in the arena. But why are they watching? Because they're too afraid to get in. They're so afraid that they won't even go to the gate, right? So if they're so afraid to go into the arena or even go to the gate, their opinion doesn't matter because they're cowards. If you're in the arena, what does it matter what people in the bleachers have to say? And that's how I lived 2020. Now going into 2021, having lived 2020 like my last, it truly changed my life. I can say it changed my life for the best. I lived 2020 like it was my last year life. And I made all the little decisions that I probably wouldn't have. and I did them all under the spirit of bravery, and it changed my life for the best. Um, so much so that I left my job. I left my job. I met my beautiful girlfriend. Um, I've made vast improvements with Urban Innovator. Um, my life is dynamically um, and incredibly better. And I never thought it could get here. And in living it, I realized why it never did, and it was because I wasn't brave enough to get into that arena. And now I practice being in the arena. Doesn't mean that I am always brave. It just means that I'm always practicing being brave. I'm always trying. And I accept that sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes I get punched in the face, you know. But I've learned how to forgive myself for being human, dusting myself off, taking my time to recuperate, and then I get the fuck back in the arena. Because I know that's where the shit is. That's where everything gets good. That's where the money is, man. That's where the happiness is. And then going into 2021, I realized it's not about succeeding at everything. I mean, in an ideal world, you want to succeed at everything. I think what it's really about is trying everything. Trying everything with the intent of doing the best you can, right? But if you fail at everything, the only thing you really have to win at is living a happy life. Trying to live a happy life. That's the only one that actually matters. Everything else is just part of the process. And so that's why into 2021, I'm living it with a new mantra. And that mantra is win 121. This year, I just got to win one. And that's be happy. Right? But I'm going to try everything. But if I don't win at everything, I just got to focus on winning one. Being happy. Win 121. Huh? Oh, let's see Ray Dot. Hey, what's up, Ray Dot? Yeah, I'm going to get to you in a minute, my brother. But okay, I don't want to spend too much time going into my rants because that may happen on the show. I just go where my intuition takes me. But I wanted to get into one of the segments that I loved of the original show, which was the quote of the day. And today's quote of the day comes from media designer, author, musician, and filmmaker Hillman Curtis. And he says, be prepared to reinvent yourself. Be prepared to go out on a limb occasionally, and be prepared to do the things that you feel strongly about. And the reason I picked that quote is because I feel like you have to be prepared to do the things you're strongly about. And I think that word prepared is super poignant because if you're not prepared, you never do it. So when you mix preparedness with awareness of that it has to happen even on occasion, then you energize yourself to be able to go do it. And I think that's important. And I thought that felt right in line with what I wanted to talk about in today's episode, the gift of reinvention, right? And let's see here. I was going to go into what is reinvention. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to freestyle a little bit right now. And I want to invite one of my friends who did the interview, who did the Unity episode with me, my friend Ray Dot. Let me see if I can get Ray Dot on here.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, Ray Dot? Can you hear me?
Yo, what's good, player? What's good, Urban?
Actually, hold on a second. Get the headset. Hold on. We got some technical difficulties, man, because I can't hear you.
Yeah, give me 1 minute. Let me call you back.
Hold on. Just bear with me 1 second, my brother. Hold on. Just bear with me 1 second, my brother. So told you some technical difficulties. Hold on. Let me see this. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Radar? Can you hear me? Seems like we lost Radar. Let me get him back. Actually, let's see. They get nitty. Let me see. Having some technical difficulties right now. But this is part of the live show, man. Things don't always go according to plan. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here.
He's driving.
All right. So Nitty's driving. All right. So let me just give Radar some time right now. We'll get back on. All right. So moving forward, one of the topics of the day that I wanted to talk about was, what does reinvention mean to me? I think a lot of times with reinvention, one has to really take a look at who they are, and what they've done thus far, and really try to figure out what's another way that they can, bring value. Hey, what's up? Let me just wave back at you. Yeah. Because ultimately, reinvention's about value. How you renew value in whatever it is you do, And I think, sometimes what you got to do in order to really reinvent, you got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to the core of what it is that you do, dismantle it, find out why you do it, and then try to identify what are new ways that you could do it. What are avenues that maybe you never considered, or maybe avenues that you didn't think you were able to do, but in your journey of doing, you've discovered that you now can do. Like, you can hear me? Hold on, saying that volume is up, but I can't hear you. Hold on a second. Can you hear me all right? Prime Star, you can hear me? Okay, it seems like the audio's all right. Like I was saying, when you're in your journey, sometimes you realize that, what you didn't know that you could do something, and in the process of doing, you discovered that you could. Like for me, I didn't know I could do live and have these kind of conversations until I started doing the podcast. So for me, part of my reinvention of being able to go live was, learning on my podcast journey that I'm pretty comfortable having these kinds of conversations. I didn't know that prior to that, so that's something I discovered while on the journey, And then, like I said, once you discover these things, um, you gotta be going back into what I was talking about before about being brave. Gotta be brave enough to try something else. Maybe something you're uncomfortable with, something you've never done before. Like for me, it was going live. Like I never done live like this before, and I'm not all the way comfortable. Don't get it twisted. I may seem like a natural. I hope, but I still had butterflies before this. Before I even went live, I'm comfortable in the practice of trying, practicing, and accepting that it ain't always gonna be great. I forgive myself for my failures and I push myself forward to do better next time. And I think that in itself is part of the components to being able to reinvent. Forgiveness and being able to learn from your mistakes and push yourself forward. I think that's super important. And then I think another component of reinvention is um, knowing when it's time to reinvent. And I think it's time to reinvent when you no longer enjoy what it is you're doing. When that joy has gone or it's not the same, that those are the indicators that you gotta switch it up. You gotta do something else. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that means do something different, meaning like improve on what you've been doing and maybe try a different approach to it, or try something else completely. Sometimes reinvention is just complete change. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan was playing basketball. His form of reinvention was to go play baseball. He ain't like that. He reinvented again, started playing basketball. Sometimes it just be like that. Who knows? Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay, I got Ray Dot back on. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Ray Dot. See, it's connected over here. Huh. Hey, Ray Dot, accept the invite, man, so we can get this moving. Let me see. Let me see if I do this. Also, too, I feel like an old ass man using this shit. I thought I was fucking young and weird and knowledgeable until I'm looking at this thing like my father looks at a remote control. Fuck it, we get better. It ain't no thing. Come on, Ray Dot. Hey, babe, how much time we got left? Okay. Okay. So in the meantime, while I wait for Ray Dot to get on, hey, Prime Star, that's right. It's never too late to expand yourself. Try something different. Um, a lot of times people feel like they get stuck. Like they did what they was doing, and that's all they're ever gonna do. But I believe that's all mindset. You have to be able to allow yourself to try new things and find out what's right for you. Sometimes it really just comes down to exposure. Like, what are you being exposed to? If you're being exposed to the same old shit, then yeah, you're gonna do the same old shit. You know what I'm saying? Um, Sometimes, especially, I want to say because I live this. You know, there's a story I tell called the Line of Intersect story, and it's basically a story where this is from my real life. I was working a job as a driver at a hotel, And during this time, I was like in my early 20s. I was trying to be a rapper, and I really didn't care about moving up in the company. I didn't care about um, um, being the best employee. I just wanted a paycheck so I could use that paycheck to pursue my rap career. And which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? If you want to pursue your dreams, pursue your dreams. Um, but that was my mindset because that's all I knew. People I hung out with, that's all they thought. That's how they thought, right? And then one day I pick up this hotel guest and I take him to uh, his job. He was a VP marketer for Panasonic. And I guess he must have felt something in my conversation with him, maybe that I was a smart person or something like that, that he suggested two books. And the books he suggested to me was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People and Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he said to me, he said it just like this: don't be stupid, get the books, it's going to change your life. And at that point, like, I was like, all right, cool, whatever, you know. And I didn't get the books immediately, but maybe like after a month, I got the first book, which was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the moment I was exposed to that, it started changing my life. But the craziest thing, when I was done reading the book, what became inevitable for me was discovering how no one in my close vicinity had ever heard of that book. So I found myself in this position of where I wasn't able to talk to anybody about that book and the things that I enjoyed from it. And then when I tried to, the subject matter was just so outside of the norm that they didn't even want to have the conversation. And that was the first time I discovered that there is a socio-economical bubble within urban culture as far as exposure to outside things and exposure to, education, you know. And because of that experience, I learned that, all right, life ain't just going to give you, things. You got to go get it. And if you want to try new things and you want to be able to adapt to new things and expand yourself, you can't just expect life to go give it to you. Now, naturally, I say that as at the same time as I said, like, this dude just he told me the books, right? But the reason he talked to me about the books was because of the conversation we had. We were talking about business, right? And I guess you could say he paid it forward, but it's not like he bought me the books, right? I still had to go out there and buy the books, and then furthermore, I had to go read the books. You know what I mean? So I had to pay the price and then put in the effort to expand my horizons. Even when he gave me where to look. I think in life sometimes that's the most you're gonna get. Somebody tell you where to go look, but they ain't gonna go look for you and they ain't gonna bring it to you. You still gotta go get it. And I think that's part of, expanding yourself. And I think I can say that's another component to reinvention. You know, um, man, that was a good piece right there. Shit. Let me see. Is Reid out ready? Let's see, Eric. It's not the strongest or the smartest, but most willing to adapt. That's absolutely right. True shit. That's actually what the Verbatim Show is about, adaptation. It's about what the company's about, Urban Innovator. It's about adaptation. And it's basically like the mantra of my life, being able to adapt to the situation. And I think being a person in the arena of life is adaptation. This is the only way you survive in the arena. Because let's not get it twisted. You're not in the arena by yourself. There are obstacles. There are opponents. There are things coming at you. And if you are to succeed, you got to know how to bob and weave. You got to know when to strike, when to block, when to move. You know what I'm saying? You got to use your experience to learn and to try to do better. and then not be afraid to get punched. Anybody who's ever got into an actual fight or, maybe box, the worst thing you could do is close your eyes. You gotta keep your eyes open and looking at your opponent. You know what I mean? Because you close your eyes and you look away, you get knocked you get knocked the fuck out. and don't forget to breathe. Don't hold your breath. Breathe, focus, center yourself, and stay in the arena. And yeah, that's part of it, man. It's the adaptation. I'm saying Prime style. Hey, man, I'm glad you're getting value from this, man. Hey, okay, Ray Dot, I see you good. How much time we got left? All right, Ray Dot, if you're ready, I got a couple minutes for you, man. Let's see if we can make this happen.
Yo,
what's good, my brother? How you doing, man?
How you living, kid? My hand tied earlier, and the phone went down, and then I realized it was dead when I got on the live earlier. So I've been waiting for it to charge, son.
I got you, my brother. How you living, kid?
Oh man, I'm decent out here, man. I missed a good segment, it looked like, but I got a good chunk of it when I got back on now, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. This is the first episode of the new live show, man.
Woo! We visited. I should have came a little bit more prepared. I got a house full of kids right now, but I'm glad to be on the Verbatim show, the first live set.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to have you on too, man. Especially because our episode on your show, and then the one you did on the original Verbatim show, I gotta tell you, they're like one of my favorite shows, man.
Hell yeah, man. There was so much I got out of those. I remember when you put up the episode just during the COVID. I was driving. I just got a job, and I was driving down to Carteret, and I'm listening to this on the way there and on the way back because the segment was a little bit over an hour. So I got to really sit there. I got stuck in traffic on the turnpike, and man, we dropped some jewels for people. But it was also
yeah.
But it was the energy. It was the energy that I think we were both looking for at that time. Trying to see the direction of where we at, where we stand in this realm.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think because you guys released your episode first, so I heard that episode, and then the pandemic happened, and I just got distracted doing other things. I hadn't edited the episode for my show, so right. Then one night, because we did that like in February, I didn't release my episode until June and shit.
Yeah,
right? That's so right. It was sometime in March. I'm sitting down to listen to the episode, and I'm like, yo, we talked about some shit in that episode. One of my favorite parts of that episode was something you said about how Spanish because we were talking about the urban Latin culture.
Right.
Or Latin urban culture.
I think I know how we stand as the stunt double sometimes. We stand in the middle of the gateway passage for certain people, and sometimes we don't realize what we're doing, what we're standing in. But
yeah, and I thought that was such an interesting thing to say, because I'd never heard it that way, man. And we were talking about how representation was so important, how on Power, even you brought up the show Power, how Ghost, although he's a black guy, but he also looked Dominican.
Oh yeah, he had that twang in him, right? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But how the representation was so important, because prior to that, you had never seen nobody really on TV, on primetime channels, right? Well, I guess cable channels, right? In a role of power, no pun intended, right? Looking like someone you grew up with.
And it was crazy because I didn't think nothing of the sort until a meme came out, it was the memes of like, you know, it was like Dominican poppies getting fresh, and you see Ghost putting on the watch, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what's crazy, because like Hispanic culture on all fronts has always had hints and splashes thrown out into what we know as the urban culture, and we are obviously present there. So to see those representations and see those things expand, even the normal populace, and see them kind of pick that up, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And those are things that when those moments come, we got to embrace them and try to expand. I heard you talking about reinvention, and man, during the COVID, we shut down completely with Dima TV, because I guess just at the time we were at such turmoil with the world, how to handle and process things, and then it was just a lot going on, to the point where you said something earlier where it was like, when you want to do something and it becomes like work, and you don't want it to become work. You want to do it from the heart. You want to do it from value. Not because you're forced to do these things. We had to reinvent. We kept running into those roadblocks, a lot of stops. We were like, all right. So now we're at the point of reinvention, because we have something important. What you're doing is important. But when you sent me the message earlier to me that you're starting a Verbatim Live Show, I said, perfect. We were talking about doing it. You were talking about doing some segments more, but we got shut down during this time. That doesn't mean to stop. You know, that's not, you know, like you said, somebody's going to point the door to you. The door's always going to be there, you know, so are you going to really go to it and try to, you know, turn that knob? Man, that's what you're doing. You put a lot of perspective into me to make sure that we stay on our wheels. So
I mean, real talk. When you told me you guys were, pumping the brakes, I remember that conversation. I was like, nah, man, you guys got to hit the gas, man. You guys were doing something that, and I said it in your episode. I love it because it's in the same vein of what I want to do, but it's not the same thing as me. It's a different iteration of it. And I feel like urban culture needs more people in that same vein, trying to bring good energy and positivity and education and an uplifting content, you know what I'm saying? And showcasing to the world that we more than just, that urban culture is more than just street shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is not like the exclusion of the street shit. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but that there's more to it. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to pigeonhole us and put us in a box and not allow us to grow. Urban culture is $1 trillion industry. You know what I'm saying? And there's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I'm listening to this audiobook by Steve Stout. It's called The Tanning of America. Right? And it's fascinating because, he literally, it's a book on everything that we're talking about. How like urban culture is like everywhere. But this man is like, he's super successful in the music industry.
Yeah, Steve Stout, for those who don't know, Steve Stout is a big reason of non-success. You know, he's for many years. He also did what was that? What's the new new music service releasing service? He had.
No, I'm actually not too familiar with that one.
It's not DistroKid, it's the other one, but everybody should be using it. It's an amazing platform where artists could get on for free, and they start trying to market their music to like NBA.
Yeah. I think I heard. Yeah, okay. I think I got an ad for that one. Yeah.
Steve is definitely onto some stuff and definitely opening the minds and gateways for us. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, my brother. I wanted to make a mention because I was just talking about it earlier about exposure to new things, right? One of the things I loved in the episode you did on the Verbatim was you tell a story about how because your mom exposed you to reading, you were able to have certain insights that you saw that other people didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, she exposed you to different books, and because of that, you had manners, and you held doors, and because you held doors, people were more open to giving you insight into things.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If you could speak on that, if you could speak on that.
Well, so the book I think we were referring to, I'll never forget. It's called The Color of Water, and it's a book that basically So we grew up in the projects, and my mom, she couldn't get identified. They couldn't tell if she was a brown woman. They couldn't tell if she was Hispanic. They couldn't tell if she was Indian. So we would run into stores, and her as a single woman with 4 kids chasing behind her. You hear all kind of fresh talk, from guys out there. So one day, we in a Dominican store, and it's a whole bunch of dudes trying to, talking crazy about my mom's. And she let them go off in Spanish, and by the time she walked out, she said, "Yeah, she said something slick like, you probably could have had this ass had you known that you wasn't talking shit." They basically confused her for being like Indian or something in the background. It was just it was just so simple ignorance, like just talking about somebody in front of them, not knowing that person speaks your language. So we saw that reverse. I'm like, you got Spanish people not understanding that my mom's Hispanic, talking crap about it. And that for that reason, she gave me a book called The Color of Water. And The Color of Water is about a Jewish woman who was the mother of black children, and the father had either passed or left. I forgot. I have to reread it, the beginning. Yeah. But long story short, she stayed in the projects to raise the children, to keep them around in their culture. Yeah. And we don't really see that reverse story a lot, because we're trying to shed light on the cultural aspects we're looking at today. But sometimes those are what happens, and you see the reverse. You get the white lady in a black environment, and then you start see a different perspective. I never saw that perspective, and that came a long way, because I realized we all got to treat each other the same. You don't know that person's angle, what they're coming from, and what they got going. I'm sorry, man. Just 1 second. I saw Prime mention something real quick. He said United Masters and Amuse. United Masters is what Steve Stow is behind, man. I know that for sure. Basically, it's a free music distributing app. If you're not, you're not familiar with that, that app allows you to upload your music and send it to send it for a chance to get marketed in different arenas. So it's a pretty cool platform.
Hey, Ray Dot, my bad, my brother. I hate to cut you short, but I'm about to get closed on the live right now. I just wanted to let you know, and thank you for your time, man, and I appreciate you coming on and talking, my brother.
Yeah, man, random getting up with you. I know it's gonna close. It's good chatting with you. Keep doing these things, Urban. You're important to the culture, man. We appreciate you, man. I love what you're doing, man.
I appreciate you, my brother. Yo, stay up. I'm gonna reach out to you more, man. We gotta do a whole new
we'll
episode.
Chop up some more, for sure, man. And I gotta get my hair done for the next one. This shit crazy.
Nah, keep it natural, King. Keep it natural.
All right, brother. Peace, bro.
All right, guys. We gotta do the wrap up before the Instagram live shuts me down. But I hope you guys were able to get value from this first episode. Little rough, some technical difficulties, but we will do better. And then we just want to let you know the schedule for the show. It's a Verbatim Live Show. Remember to catch us on Instagram Live at Urban Innovator every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then catch the replay every other Monday on YouTube, on the Urban Innovator YouTube channel, and then you can also catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts on the Urban Innovator channels for those things. All right, and that's it, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that is the first episode of the Verbatim Live Show with me, your host, alx.O, the Gift of Reinvention. Have a good night, guys.